Warm greetings everyone. On behalf of W4W Foundation, welcome to another session of Friday Waters. Today we shall discuss the making of the book, namely Rivers, Cities and People, Social Challenges of Urban Waterfront Development in Asia. And to do the honor, we have Dr. Mansee Bal and Vanashri Banerjee, who are the editors of the book. Before we get into the book discussion, let me just take you through the Friday Waters. The idea of Friday Waters is to wet the Fridays with fun and yet get fruitful content for the better understanding about water matters in different possible ways. Friday Waters has Water Talkies, Book Reading Club, which is today, Thesis Club, Water Arts, and Meet a Maestro, each happening once a month depending on the availability of the speakers. The focus of Book Reading Club session is to bring author or authors who have written books or writing books, novels, comics, etc. on the water matters in order to discuss with them the making of the manuscript and the issues around the subject that it covers. Besides bringing interest in the water conversation, the session is also will also increase the outreach of the manuscript in the water networks as well as in society at large. This is Mansee Bal Bhargava from the House of W4W, and I am the host also for today. The session is co-hosted by the International Association of the Study of Commons, which will also stream this session at the World Commons Week, scheduled in the first week of December in online mode. We will have other sessions in the World Commons Week from W4W water sessions. Today we shall discuss the making of the book Rivers, Cities and People, Social Challenges of Urban Waterfront Development in Asia with Mansee and Vanashri, who have also managed to actually invite some of the authors from the book chapters. So we have in addition authors Rabia SD, Bhuvana Raman, Tariq Ahalwal and Sunita Don Bosco, who will also come in and discuss with Vanashri and Mansee on their contribution in the book. Before I invite both of them, a deep gratitude to first both of you, Mansee and Vanashri, that you agreed to do this interesting book because it's very recent as published. And I would like to take an opportunity to also introduce you to our participants here, and then we can get into the discussion of the book. Dr. Mansee Bal is a human geographer with a PhD in social science from Leiden University. She is a senior expert in housing, gender and social development at IHS Erasmus University and coordinates the master track on urban housing and land social justice. She coordinates many international postgraduate and professional training programs, mainly in Asia and Africa, on housing policy approaches, including resettlement and incremental housing, housing rights, gender, and many more things, health, climate change, and access. She is also the principal investigator of research project on access to information and digital inclusion of women in resettlement sites with Anna University in Chennai and a co-PI of an NWO research project on housing, livelihood, and climate change adaptation in Bangladesh. And I would like to add here that she is also my teacher in the past when I did my urban management studies at IHS. And I have been also part of our other programs in training programs, which she manages to do in other parts of the world, especially in Bangladesh and India. Vanashri Banerjee is an architect, urban planner, researcher, and teacher. She works as an independent consultant and as senior housing and urban management expert at IHS Erasmus University. In a career spanning more than 4 decades, the focus of Vanashri's work has been on inclusive approach to urban planning and management, particularly related to the poor. Her other interest in urban land management, in which she has considerable experience related to practice, research, and teaching. Vanashri has worked with government, NGOs, and international agencies, primarily in India, Egypt, Korea, Myanmar, and Philippines, Thailand, and Bangladesh. She has several publications to her credit and has lectured extensively at universities in Asia, Europe, and the Americas. She has also undertaken prestigious international assignments. So now coming to the basics of the book is available with Routledge, and the electronic version of book was published in May 2025, and it is available in the website as I will share in the chat box. You can also look at its prices on paperback, hardback, ebook version in Amazon. It has 246 pages with several illustrations, and the book is constituted in two parts. The part 1 covers chapter 1 to 7, and part 2 covers chapter 8 to 10. And then I will actually now invite both Banashri and Marche to start with opening remarks and then take us through the book as how the book is written, why and when it was worked around, what was the idea behind it, who did you invite, how did you work through it, and how was the overall experience. Thank you so much, both of you, once again for taking out time and agreeing to do this session. Over to you.
I'll start well with a short introduction how we came about the book. Well, a short bit about myself. I've started conducting research in Chennai in 1998 when I started with my PhD research on governance and livelihood aspects of resettlement. When I was affiliated with the Madras Institute for Development Studies, and I collaborated with Professor Ajit Menon. And since then, I have been coming back on a regular basis. And in 2017, together with Banashri, with whom I was working also already for a long time, and in collaboration with Ajit and Professor Karen Coelho of MRDS, we organized a refresher course for IHS alumni from the South Asian region, of whom many are with us today. And in Chennai, after the 2015 floods, there was a massive increase of resettlement of slum dwellers from Chennai's rivers to the outskirts of the city, a development which was not only applicable to Chennai, but to many river cities in Asia where people are displaced and resettled due to riverfront development. So that is why we decided to focus the course on the social aspects of riverfront development with a focus on Chennai, but also bringing in examples from other cities in India like Delhi, Ahmedabad, and Coimbatore. During COVID, we expanded our focus when we organized a webinar series in collaboration with INHAF, with Kirti Shah. And then we included, amongst others, more cases from, for instance, Metro Manila by Dr. Melissa Navarra, and Lahore by Rabia Esdi and Michelle Ijaz. And Rabia is also with us today as one of the co-authors. And after that, we developed a plan to bring all these cases together in the book, which also gave us the opportunity to select more partners from Chennai and some students who had conducted their research under the Chennai Atelier, the research atelier that we organize at IHS in collaboration with Anna University. And Tarek is one of them, who is also co-author of one of the chapters.
Okay, wonderful. Banashri, you want to take us a little dig, or I should just introduce the book? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, we had been thinking of putting all this knowledge and material together for some time. Yeah. And thank you very much, Mansee, for giving us the opportunity to talk about all this. So we were convinced for the need of the book because of the large number of river restoration and riverfront development projects in Asian cities, and also the growing evidence that most of these projects were falling short in dealing with the complex social issues associated with them. And it was actually Shobunik Roy who suggested contacting Routledge. And that is how the book started rolling in December 2022, as long ago as that. So, and I must say that the review of the proposal by experts, which was organized by the publishers, was very helpful in shaping the inputs from the different authors. So we thought, we already had, the makings of solid chapters from the inputs which were given by researchers, activists, and practitioners during the events that Marty has already talked about, and also others working on the subject and somehow associated with IHS. But, it was quite a task to put the whole thing together. And we have to thank the chapter authors for their hard work and patience with all the many demands that we made as editors. Thank you. The chapter
Go ahead, please. Sorry.
Okay, the chapter contents are quite diverse. but the thread that runs through all of them is the subtitle of the book, which is Social Challenges of Urban Riverfront Development in Asia. The other thing is that the book is not intended as merely an academic publication. It draws its strength from the fact that in addition to conducting academic research, the chapter authors are practitioners and activists who bring in fresh insights through the social lens. So, Mansee, you want to continue?
Yes, thank you so much, Marcia and Banashri, for the quick overview on making of the book. And I would like to take all of you through the book titled River, Cities and People, Social Challenges of Urban Waterfront Development in Asia, and that the book with Routledge came out in May 2025. The book is available in paperback, hardback, and ebook version as well. And I also have the fortune of reading the book. So thank you so much, both of you, to share it. It is basically having 246 pages with book in two parts. The part 1 covers chapter 1 to 7, part 2 covers chapter 8 to 10. We are going to dig into some of these chapters, and as I mentioned, we are super delighted that we have authors of some of the chapters here as well. Now, as both of them have already mentioned that their past work and how they have been putting it together and bringing it to Routledge, I also want to inform all of you at this point in time that we are actually streaming this session as part of the International Association of the Study of the Commons, and the session also goes into the World Commons Week, which is on first week of December. And we are collecting information from different countries across Asia. So it is also a follow-up thing. I also want to inform all of you that we are actually running a Riverscape series where we are looking at riverfront developments in India. So this is a very good kind of a connector session where it can take us through on the riverfront development we are doing in India. So let me just get quickly into the book now, and I will just like to know a little bit more on, because you have the first chapter written by both of you. You also have some other chapters also written by each one of you. Would you like to now tell us a little bit about the content of the book in terms of maybe let's take a quick look as executive summary of or introduction of the book. You can take turns. I mean, it's up to you.
Yes, thanks, Mansee.
Sure,
I will start with the introduction because the introduction introduces the theory and practice of urban river restoration and riverfront development, reviews the literature and identifies the knowledge gaps, and at the end places the chapter contributions within a larger perspective. We describe urban river restoration, waterfront development in Asia, and their social impacts. We found through this literature review that there's actually a lot of literature on urban riverfront development, but that most literature tends to focus on the technical, the ecological, and recreational aspects, and that social issues related to displacement, disputes around land and water, the right to adequate housing, and the interconnected rights of livelihoods, health, and food security are seldom touched upon. And that is why we thought this book is very important to be written. What we also found is that it's what is evident from policy and practice of urban river restoration and riverside development in Asian cities is that there is insufficient acknowledgement of the close link between the governance of urban nature with socio-economic processes, particularly involving vulnerable communities, informal residents, and women. So that is why in the chapters we focus on these aspects. And now over to Banashri.
Thanks, Marcia. I think that we'll go straight into looking at the contents of the book, the chapters, and detailing some of them. Unfortunately, Rabia is not going to be able to join. She miscalculated the time, and she has to make a presentation in some class. She's already on her PhD. So she's not going to be with us. Anyway, if we walk through the content and through a few of the chapters, you see that the book is organized in two parts. The first part we call Different Cities, Distinct Rivers, but Similar Social Challenges. This part, the chapters, refer to 5 cities and 3 secondary towns from 5 different countries. The cases are from Dhaka, Lahore, Manila, Bangkok, Ahmedabad, and 3 towns in Tamil Nadu. The idea was not really to compare, but rather to understand the nuances of social issues around urban river revitalization and restoration in diverse and different contexts. But in spite of differences, we found unifying features, which all the authors talked about. First of all is this whole tide of globalization. Second, we have the adverse effects of climate change, because of which rivers also become very important in the urban scene. Then privatization of development and public space, and the growing preoccupation with altering urban river landscapes. Yeah. So this is part 1. Part 2 deals exclusively with Chennai, which enables an in-depth understanding of riverfront development in the context of planning and development frameworks of one city. And while I walk you through part 1, Mache will look at part 2, which is she's almost a resident of Chennai now. So I'm going to start with chapter 6 because and jump the queue, because it was basically to take care of Rabia's time now, but she's not joining. But let me keep that sequence. Now here it's Rabia Izdi and Michelle Ijaz. They talk of the river as habitat, and which is the subtitle is the Ravi as a site for collaboration between people, ecologies, and human agency. So in this chapter, the authors discuss the Ravi Riverfront Development Project in Lahore. This project envisages the riverfront development for sustainability and revitalization within a neoliberal development framework. So based on qualitative and very intensive research on case studies, the authors flagged the threats from the project to the river, as well as the complex web of settlements, lives, and livelihoods around the river.
Sorry to interrupt, Dhanashri. I just see Rabia just joined. Just that.
Has she joined? Oh,
Just
wow,
now,
Rabia.
a second ago.
Oh, great. Hi, Rabia. Can you hear us?
Yes, sorry. I'm so sorry I miscalculated the time. Are you talking to me? My volume was off.
Okay.
I totally miscalculated.
Okay. So
Yeah.
did you hear the introduction I gave for your?
No, she just arrived.
I just
Oh, you
actually
just
joined. Yes.
Well,
I
I just
miscalculated by a whole hour. Yeah, sorry.
okay. So anyway, we just talked of your. I just talked of your chapter. What Rabia and Michelle's chapter talks about really has valuable lessons for all Asian cities. Because everybody's going in for the implementation of mega projects based on land valorization and looking at the river as the value of the river as something which adds to the value of land. And in the process, they actually neglect the cultural and social value of a space. And this is a distinction which the authors also make in their chapter. So it's great that Rabia is here. So we can hear from her. She has been teaching at the architecture department at the National College of Arts at Lahore, and has been a participant in IHS courses as well. Now she's pursuing her PhD in the UK, as she told us. And so nice that you could join, Rabia. But Rabia, you talk about the river as a site of collaboration between people, ecologies, and human agency. Can you illustrate with the help of one of your case studies how this Ravi Riverfront Development Project in Lahore is a threat to this relationship?
Yes, yes. Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. And I apologize for the miscalculation of the time zone. Um, I'm not extremely well prepared to answer this because this is a very complex sort of question, and I would have wanted to do this in more detail. But
Yeah.
I will just speak about the case. In our chapter, we are basically looking at the concept of habitat and how habitat is neither just environment or people alone. A habitat is obviously like it's a process, and it's an ongoing process, and it's a collaborative process between nature, people, land, and different systems and processes that people have
Just a
developed over
minute,
many.
Rabia, could you adjust your camera? We can only see your forehead.
I'm sorry, I have a Chinese laptop and the camera
Yeah,
is board,
it's
and
better
I
now.
don't know what to do with this. Okay,
It's
okay.
better now. If you move
Okay.
closer to it, it's
Yes,
better. I
yes,
think.
yes. It's a weird angle. Yes. Okay. So, what we were researching basically was to see what is actually happening on ground, and to kind of undo the myth that there are just these Google Earth versions of large empty tracts of land waiting to be developed. We said this is not the case, and the idea of settlement is something which takes thousands and hundreds of years to actually happen, and that is a very well lived, well settled area. And if we actually we can even call it prosperous, because this is the banks of the Ravi River. And the first case we were looking at were the small villages on the Sharakpur side. So one side is Lahore, which is Pakistan's second largest city. The other bank is Sharakpur, Firozwala, which is 70% of the project area, and that's all agricultural land. Sorry, somebody messaged me just now. So what we were seeing was that obviously this project is going to not just disrupt, but the project is based on a process of elimination and erasure, basically, right? So pretending nothing is there, and whatever is there is just going to be literally eliminated. We discovered that this area had many, many small microeconomies, micro activities going on. So also all scales of activities that were happening, from agriculture, from all the equipment and tools and processes that service agriculture, the marketplace itself, the different actors that are involved here, and not just in terms of the location of this, but it has ripple effect, or let's say it has what can you say, extended effects that go all the way into Lahore and even further into the city and other cities and small towns and villages around it. I don't know if this answers the question, but it's basically about all scales of economy, all scales of process, all scales of product that are produced here, scales of cultivation, and many, many chains of economic activity. So it's like a web, literally, and that stands to be entirely disrupted through this project.
Thank you,
Okay.
Rabia. Thank you so much. Are you there, Marche or Vanashri? Will you take up the
Yes.
next chapter, chapter 2? Yeah, thank you so
Yes.
much, Rabia. We will like to have a separate session with you on rivers of Pakistan. Why not?
Yes. Thank you.
Well, the second chapter is the promise of one safe future for the Oplan Likas resettled families of Metro Manila. And Melissa Navarra, who's the author of this chapter, talks about river restoration in Metro Manila. And the research looks into the relocation process of more than 11,000 families who were residing on top and along rivers, along major rivers, and concludes that the city failed to deliver the promised safe future in resettlement sites, whether these are within the city or outside. And it's in this failure is in terms of tokenistic consultation, in terms of the kind of housing they got and the kind of facilities which they have, the distances to workplaces. So the usual kind of problems. But then the way the project started off, it was with, a bright future for everybody. So that is, in short, chapter 2. Chapter 3 is entitled A Tale of Two Cities, and it deals with the restoration of Bangkok's waterways and what the authors call a post-amphibious setting. Paul Rebe and Kitima, these are the authors. Paul works for IHS, and the authors consider 3 schemes for the revitalization of canals in Bangkok to investigate what they mean in terms of valorization of water. So this whole thing of the neoliberal construct in dealing with water and land is, this whole thing of valorization is central to the process. So here it's the valorization of water. And they look at what it means to local communities and whether they can benefit from it or not. And in most cases, the local communities do not benefit. But then in some cases, they found that there are some communities who actually take advantage of it and develop spaces around water which actually benefit them. The 4th chapter is the social and environmental impacts of urbanization in Indian non-metros, the evidence from Tamil Nadu. And the author is Dr. Bhuvaneshwari Raman, who is with us. Thanks, Bhuvaneshwari, for joining. So Bhuvaneshwari highlights the importance of managing land and water as a unified system in urban and regional planning and the financing of development, and looking at concerns of access and equity. So through research in 3 towns which are industrialized and industrializing in Tamil Nadu, Bhuvana unravels the relationship of and the impact on different stakeholders from river-related issues. She draws her evidence from court cases, government schemes, and actions of industries, real estate, and ordinary people in settings of unplanned growth. So Bhuvana's research also brings out, challenges which are present in all secondary towns in the Asian city setting, and towns which are rapidly growing, which is spontaneous urbanization, poor services, exploitation of land and water, pollution, and social exclusion, and land speculation. So a lot of lessons from Bhuvana's chapter. Bhuvana is currently professor at Jindal School of Governance and Public Policy at Jindal Global University. And in the past, she has consulted with a number of international organizations. And she was also invited to talk at the refresher course that Machia and I ran at Chennai. And she discussed the research which she's presenting in this chapter. So, Bhuvana, you have raised so many issues in your chapter. But based on your research, can you elaborate on the social and environmental impacts of spontaneous urbanization in river basins?
Thank you very much, Banashri, and thank you all for this opportunity to present the findings of this chapter. Why this particular chapter, as Banashri noted, draws on what's happening along a stretch of urbanizing villages and towns in a river basin. That's one of the important river basin in Tamil Nadu. Most of them operate like a network of networked economy. So it's better to, and across the entire zone, they are all connected both by their economy and social networks. The river flows from the upstream to the downstream, and along the upstream, of the 3 towns that I researched, one was on the upstream and 2 were on the downstream of the river. The upstream was well known to everyone. It's Tirupur, which is a global production center, and downstream was one of Tamil Nadu's largest city, which is also a financing center for the entire Western Tamil Nadu mechanism. The river, as you know, the basin that we are talking about is that this chapter focuses on is Noyal Bhavani Kaveri Basin, which is also an important source of water, not just for that stretch of towns and villages, but for the entire state. And therefore, the significance is much more there. In terms of environmental impacts, and most of these towns and villages have a long economic history of being in textile economy dating back to the 6th century, and post-independent also they expanded. Nonetheless, they expanded on their own with minimal state intervention. And the river is an important front for them because textile production requires very clean water. But in the absence of water supply and sewage network, the river also becomes a sink for all the waste that is generated along the stretches. Being largely a set of like Tirupur's economy being largely around small and medium industries at the units at the most, a lot of them, depending on the process that you're involved in, people with considerable advantages in social and economic advantages to those who are down the line are involved in this economy. Now, as is elaborated in the chapter, both the land of various tenure and as well as water got exploited in the way the town developed and urbanization proceeded in the area. Now, what it also did is it not only diminished the sewage and the growing volume of untreated sewage water, as well as the disposal of heavy water, particularly from bleaching, not only diminished the capacity of water to cleanse themselves, but it also increased the occupation of the appropriation of the riverfront, particularly for expanding industrial units as well as the residences, also increased the risk of flooding in that area. Now, what is much more significant was that whenever an intervention is made for a town or a city, it is often focused on a single place. But this river being flowing from the upstream to the downstream, the water from Tirupur, the polluted water from Tirupur flew down to another large city in Tamil Nadu, which was threatening both its economy and the basic drinking water supply, which then led to the a large conflict over whether this industry should continue, whether Tirupur and other town economy centered around textile should move on. Within Tirupur itself, the trajectory of this conflicts and the court decision itself, as is the case, and the suggestions that were made to improve the river water, basically affected the small units and particularly women. And in terms of women, it increased the burden of their housing, and most of them were involved in bleaching or smaller units of the textile units, so they also lost their livelihoods. And also the evictions that came in further worsened their conditions in terms of how they would proceed in future. Whereas large units were able to survive this because they were able to invest in their individual water treatment things. So the finding itself pretty much reinforces the adverse impact of many such intervention, both on the river as well as the already disadvantaged social groups in society, particularly women.
Thanks a lot, Bhuvaneshwari. That was very, very concise and clear. Then the next chapter that we have is by Kirti Shah and Kea Kunte.
Excuse me, I am Raihanul Firdaus. I am talking from Toronto, Canada. I was a student of IHS with Mansee.
Hi, hello. Good to
Hi.
have you here. Maybe we take your point after the authors have talked. Thank you so much for joining.
Okay,
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's finish this and then we can.
IHS always brings people together.
Yes. So they talk about learning from urban riverfront development in the case of the Sabarmati riverfront development model. And they call it model because, this is an approach which is being kind of copied across cities in India. It is seen as a so-called successful model. So the authors, Kirti Shah and Kea Kunte, they discuss the social and cultural issues of the Sabarmati riverfront development in Ahmedabad, the displacement it caused not only of people, but of several activities and historic activities at that. And they take a perspective that more than the project, it is the city and the present and the future that matter. Because every time you do something with a big, water body like the Sabarmati River, which flows right through the city, it affects the whole city in terms of what happens to its surroundings, to the river itself, and so on. So they build and along with that, what they do is to build a wide, case for a wider definition of cost, which also includes the social costs and to different groups. And they also build a case for including equity and inclusiveness in a globalized and unequal world. So that is chapter 5. Then chapter 7, which is we already had chapter 6 with Rabia. So is the revitalization of the blue network of Dhaka and the subheading is social responsibility of planning approaches and practices. Now here, Nilopal Adri and Fahmida Aumi, they examine conservation-induced displacement of people, livelihood, and activities in the blue network revitalization of Dhaka. So, and in various ways, the authors question the planning paradigms and the top-down measures which ignore the knowledge and practices of local communities that have actually nurtured and got their livelihoods from the blue network. And also they question that what they call the revitalization approach, it definitely has a classed character and needs to be revised and looked at, and definitely the participation of people who have the knowledge and responsibility for maintaining the environment needs to be taken care of. So that's it for part 1. So Mache, would you like to take over part 2, Chennai?
Yes, thanks.
Thank you. Over to you, Marche. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Thanks. So we decided to include a whole section on Chennai, as we have been working there for many years with many researchers in different projects related to land and access to adequate housing, displacement and resettlement. We run a student research atelier, IHS, in collaboration with Anna University. And with them, we have set up a living lab on communication for development. So that is why we consider this city a bit as a laboratory where many of the riverfront development challenges that we find in other Asian cities also manifest themselves, like disputes over land, displacement, and far-off resettlement. And that is why we have 3 chapters in the book based in this city. The introductory chapter is written by Vanessa Peter, chapter 8. And that is called An Introduction to Forced Evictions Along Rivers in Chennai and its Impact on Women and Children. Vanessa Peter is an activist and in the development sector and the director of the Information and Resource Center for Deprived Urban Communities, which is a social initiative that seeks to address the disconnect between the poor, policy, and policymakers. And she wrote the introductory chapter on the impact specifically on women and children. And she argues that the displacements that have been happening in Chennai have resulted in serious violations of human rights, where due processes are not followed, affecting vulnerable groups like women and children adversely. And also that the lack of coordinated planning resulted in improper resettlements. And then chapter 9 is called Where is the River? How a depoliticized restructuring of riverfront land uses built differentiated entitlements and benefits from land resources. That's written by Tarek Al-Aghbal. Tarek is currently a PhD researcher at the University of Freiburg in Germany. He joined the Chennai Research Atelier when he was still a student at IHS, and his article is based on his very interesting master thesis. In his research, he uses a political ecology and entitlement approach, as well as spatial analysis, to track the connections between depolitized aspects of Kwong River restoration in Chennai and the rights to land, capabilities of using it, and the benefits collected by different actor groups. So Tarek, good to see you. Can you tell us a bit more about your research? What do you mean with the depolitization of river restoration in Chennai and its effects for citizens living along the river, particularly the most marginalized?
Okay, thanks, Marcia. Thanks all for the invite. So the restoration deals with the flow and the quality of the water in the river, and these can seem as like technical, not political issues, but more detailed look, especially with the spatial analysis, shows political aspects of it. So the flow of the water was part of the justification for resettlements of residences next to the river that are labeled as encroachments. We're looking at encroachments and want to know what is an encroachment on the river. We need to know where is the river. And then this is also a spatial question. Where is the river then in this project is defined by the right-of-way line, which is put by the Public Works Department. And through then the analysis, we see that this right-of-way line is not based on topography or, for example, a 50-year flood line, but it's mainly regular property lines, which is a social construct through time who could register their properties and the marginalized couldn't. And this shows kind of the political construction of the river over time. Another aspect of encroachment and of this right-of-way is that it's not transparent. So not many residents know, do I stand inside the river of right-of-way or not? And through an analysis, you can see that the eviction wasn't, or the resettlement didn't go exactly with the lines of the right-of-way in all parts along the river. And much of the flow of water of the river was actually dependent on the depth and deepening the river bed rather than the sides and the residents on the banks. This is quickly, and on the quality side, the argument is also that sewage from the resettled areas was polluting the river, but other arguments are that it's a sewage from the whole city, and this is also one reason why the project itself made treatment plants on the river banks to treat the water from all of the city, not only from the resettled areas. And at the same time using the land plots that doesn't require resettlement. So these are two aspects quickly on issues that may seem technical, but with more detailed spatial analysis shows political choices and constructions of the river and of encroachment.
Thanks, Tarek. Yeah, you included also many interesting maps in the chapter, so that's also interesting to have a look at. The next chapter is chapter 10, I think so, yeah. Mapping the information and in communication lacuna in riverfront development induced evictions and resettlement in Chennai. Well, that's written by me and Sunita. And Sunita Don Bosco is an assistant professor. She's the coordinator of the Communication for Development Urban Living Lab and faculty member of the Department of Media Sciences at Anna University in Chennai. Chapter 10 is a case study that examines the right to information, consultation, and participation by communities targeted for displacement and resettlement from the Kwong River bank. It's a case study zooming into 2 sites that are targeted by the Tamil Nadu Urban Habitat Development Board to be resettled, and it investigates to which extent the inhabitants are informed, consulted, and involved in the process. So, Sunita, welcome. Could you explain us why access to information and participation in resettlement processes is important, and what are the issues with regards to access to information in the 2 sites that were studied?
Thank you, Margie. Good evening to all. And regarding my chapter, our chapter, me and Mate was the author. We had conducted a survey in 2 eviction sites in Chennai city. One is Chitranagar and another is Neelam Basha Dargapuram. So there are 2 different, 2 different eviction sites, and all earmarked for resettlement. So in that, we looked at why is there an issue with the people? What is the issue with the people? Whether people have the information on evictions, whether people have information on the resettlement sites, which they will be allotted, and whether the entire system is participatory. So that is the main issue we are looking at, whether really the entire process involves people, the communities who are in the informal settlements. So when we're looking at, what we did was surveys, and also we did focus group discussions with these 2 communities who are about to be evicted. And one thing we understood from this thing is, people still today, whether the various stakeholders involved, were using traditional methods of communication. So if you look at for example, if you look into how do people know the date of, enumeration. So that again is through posters. It's again through, word of mouth. Okay, or announcements through an auto rickshaw, through a loudspeaker via an auto rickshaw. So all these methods are very traditional methods, and the people also prefer these traditional methods. But the problem in the traditional methods is there is no foolproof mechanism through which we understand that all the people are reached, or the information reaches everybody. So then also the communication, the pattern, when we look, it is top down model. Okay, so it is not participatory, it doesn't have a bottom up approach. So that is where the problem starts. And also when we look into the system, the leadership patterns in informal settlement, it is very unique in the sense, there's a local leadership. If you ask these people whether you trust your politician or whether you trust the habitat board or you trust your local leadership, they will say, we would trust the local leadership. And the information flow is from these people, the local leadership, to the communities. So when the false promises are being made about evictions, the evictions will not happen, and then that results in the entire confusion during the eviction date. So this is what we felt, it has to be more participatory. People have to be involved, and then there could be a communication, system evolved to the needs of these informal settlements sites, the needs for the people. So that was not, in place in both these, eviction sites in Chennai. So that is what we found out by our research. So we are also looking at, we have another 60,000 families who will be evicted because of the Buckingham Canal, project. But then the system is still not in place, in order to have a system which will ensure that everybody is informed about this evictions, resettlement process, and their entitlements. So that is how it is.
Marcie, thank you so much. Over to you, Marcie. Yeah.
Over to you, Mansee, because this.
Okay, thank you. Yes,
very
we
much.
had a very good overview. Thank you so much, Banashri and Marcie, to take us through most of the chapters, I must say, almost all of the chapters. And it's also a good time that we take a quick summary. Most important line for me, actually, I'm going to keep it only 2 lines, is that while the book actually explores what is going on in different countries, in specific to case studies in different places. And they made it very clear in the beginning as well that it's not to compare, but also co-learn, and they also found some patterns about some commonalities in all the cases. And one of the important, I think, learning for me also, as I mentioned in my initial opening remark as well, that we are running this Riverscape series to actually understand the way urban areas are treating our city, our rivers. And importantly, when India is going through nearly 150 riverfront series or riverfront projects, especially all based on Ahmedabad, I will actually have a session on Ahmedabad riverfront in our riverfront series, which is on Wednesdays for water. So stay tuned with us for that. We just had a Vadodara riverfront session on this Wednesday. So that's part of the session itself. But importantly, I must also acknowledge at this point in time that IHS remains an IHS, EHS, and I see so many known faces around. That's the beauty of being an IHS alumna. And at W4W also, we have really successfully managed to bring people from all over, and also people meet each other after many years also when they come to this platform. So let me open the floor. Many of you may have not had the chance to yet look at the book. I have shared its link, which is available in different format, but I will also request Marchi and Banashri also to share if there is any other link which they would like to share about the book. The floor will be open for all of you to ask questions from Marchi, Banashri, or have your own suggestion and comment, but my only request will be to keep it very brief, whether it is question or comment. So if there is any question from anybody, we would like to take it. Maybe we have one question I see from Michael, and maybe you can also switch on and ask, because he's talking about Dhaka. And this is also a good time. We have also Action Aid Director, Bangladesh, Farah Kabir. Farah Appa, are you still around? Because we are going to have next Friday.Waters.Book reading session on November 21st with Farah Kabir and Imtiaz Ahmed, where we will dig into the Bangladesh water matters. So Michael, would you like to ask question to anyone of the speakers here, or Farah is also around? Maybe you can have a conversation with each other. I have my questions.
Yes.
I reserve it as a host to be the end, at the end.
Yes, I had not heard about this blue network in Dhaka. Can somebody enlighten me on that? And how it links into what you are doing? Eh?
Interesting. Who would like to take this question? Maybe it was in part one. Banashri, would you like to go? And also, this is a good time that I connect you and Farah, Kabir, and Marche, all three of you, because I know, Marche, you are next month in Bangladesh. And I have already messaged you to connect with Farah Kabir. She's also here in the network. Yeah.
So I would say to Michael, read that chapter, which I mean, that's the simplest. But Farah, would you like to comment something about what's happening to the Blue Network in Dhaka?
I don't think I'm in a position to comment because I haven't read the chapter and exactly how this is being portrayed in this chapter. So I need to understand a little bit more. I got the idea about, the whole displacement and people livelihood being lost and the river encroachment and the all the other aspects of it. But what exactly is in the book, I don't know. So it would be interesting if someone who's written.
Basically, the chapter talks about this whole business of flood control that is very important for Dhaka because of its situation in a delta area, and and then that is what is called the Blue Network of network of canals and rivers which move through the city, as well as the different kinds of wetlands. And then what the authors talk about is that how these wetlands and water bodies actually nurture people who are, most of them people who are with low incomes. But at the same time, these are also the people who encroach on the wetlands, but they are not the only ones. And there is a differential treatment as far as planning and implementation is concerned on the upper class that's actually then filling up the wetlands and also, making housing layouts and things like that. And the poor who are on the, and you can see sometimes two sides of the same water body which has different treatment. Like one is removal of people as encroachers, but for others, it's actually nothing is done. So these are the kind of questions that they take up. The other thing that they're talking about is that the age-old practices of people who live and work along the water bodies, on how they actually conduct their lives and how they build their habitations and all that. And they are also the people who know about the moving tides and the way the water, the blue network behaves. But this knowledge and experience is not taken into consideration at all by those who are actually planning the network. So that is the contention of this chapter, really.
Thank you so much.
I can
We will
relate to
continue the
it.
conversation. Sorry, Farah.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
No, I was just saying I can relate to it, but I will read and then be better. And there's been huge critique on the flood embankment and flood management over the years. And in fact, in '88, it boomeranged. The water stayed inside the city instead of protecting the city dwellers. And I totally understand this whole the class issue and encroachment, and many rivers have been encroached or canals have been encroached, and we are working with young people to take on this movement and to clean and clear these canals and water bodies so that they can come back and to their natural state, and how critical it is for the city. So there's a lot of advocacy going on from organizations like us and water activists. But I will read definitely and look forward to learning more on that. So I'm not sure I could answer Michael's, but I think we get a sense of what the Blue Network is.
Yeah. We will continue, and the questions will keep pouring later on as well. It's not ending in this session itself, but I would like to announce to you on November 21st, the next Friday.Waters book reading is on 10 years of water discourse in Bangladesh, where Farah Kabir and Imtiaz Ahmad sir are actually our speakers and also the editors of the book, and which we will take up. And may I invite someone to ask questions on any other sections of the book, or maybe in a topic in general? And while you are thinking, and please raise your digital hand before you start speaking, so that we don't have an overlap of talking while you are thinking. I would like to announce next Monday, we have a very well-known water warrior, Ghazala Paul, to take us on our Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water, which is on October 20th, 2025. Then we close for Diwali very briefly. And we request all of you to not pollute the air, water, and soil, and yet have a very important cultural festival there. Post Diwali, we are starting on October 29th at 5 p.m. IST, which is our Wednesdays for water session, our signature series at W4W, where River comes live to you, talking to the rest of the India, and I will play the role of River, and we have Srishti Bajpayee playing the rest of the India, or vice versa. We are still working on the session. Next Friday.Waters is on October 31st, which is at 5 p.m. IST, and we discuss water arts education, and we have Professor Chirag Patel from Ahmedabad University to talk about how arts is used in the education program to talk about water. So these are some of the updates. Water conversations will keep flowing from W4W. We strongly believe that it is important to do that. We have Pushpa Pathak and Yanti hand raised. So we go with Pushpa first and then Yanti. Over to you, Pushpa. Pushpa Pathak. Okay, Yanti, go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much to both speakers for your insightful talks. I do have two brief questions. How did you select your research sites? And the second one, did you also have a look at the historical context of each site? So, for example, even tracing back to the colonial times, and yeah, I can imagine that there might be some colonial path dependency that may have influenced current water governance or flood governance. Please, your feedback on that, your insights on that.
Well, if I may answer that question, Matya, should I go ahead? This actually, we did not select sites. It's basically individual authors who've been working and researching in different cities, different areas. They're the ones who have, come up with what they wanted to work on. And the other thing is that, so it was, a putting together of initiatives which have been happening in these cities for some time by the authors who have also been the researchers on these water-related things. The thread that binds all this together is basically looking at the social issues. Yeah, and that is what Machi and I were concerned about, to see how the social issues are being addressed or not. Yeah, and that was the matter of concern. As you rightly pointed out, that it's also, the historic part that is also very important. So the individual chapters, some of them, they do look at it. In fact, the chapters on Dhaka and also Lahore, and then even Ahmedabad, and even Bhubaneswari's chapter on the towns, they do look at the historic part of it. And at different points, not only during colonial times, but it goes back even further on how water management actually took place. But then with the overlap of rapid urbanization, yeah, what happens to these systems and how they get kind of corrupted, and how when other things are not sorted out, like pollution and also places for poor people to live in, yeah, how it impacts on the river, and then finally how things change. And then I would say that, like for instance, in the case of Dhaka, what they're actually looking at is that over the years, over centuries, in fact, what has been happening to the city and how it has developed and how it has kind of eaten up the water bodies and the human water interface, how it's developed. So I hope you get a chance to read the book, Yanti, and then you'll see that many of these questions that you've raised have actually been addressed by the different researchers. Thank you. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Yanti, and thank you, Banashri. Actually, the idea is that people read the book, and that's what we try to do when we invite our editors and speakers to speak about it. And as we mentioned that please reach out to our authors, editors, once you have gone through the book and you have some ideas. Maybe, who knows, more collaborations emerge out of them. Pushpa, I saw you briefly opening your video camera. Maybe you may unmute yourself and ask questions. If you have question for Marche, we'll take it first because I know Marche has to leave. So, and anyway, we will close the session in next 5 minutes. So go ahead, Pushpa.
Hi. I have a question on riverfront development. I think one of the presentations, I think it was Lahore, talked about riverfront development. I have a question that are there other examples in the book? Because I didn't go through the entire chapters. And are there some lessons that we can draw from, as many cities in India are now thinking of doing riverfront development?
Okay, let's see if she's still around, but
Rabia is not around, I think.
no, Rabia is not around. So maybe Banashri, you want to take it?
Okay. The riverfront development is talked about in the case of Lahore, and then again in the case of Ahmedabad, which really serves as some kind of a model for so-called riverfront development in the Indian context. And then we also have not really riverfront development, but then the entire network of canals and rivers which are there in Bangkok, that's also there. And then in Metro Manila, as well as we're talking about riverfront development. Where else, Marcia? In Chennai? So most of the chapters are around the issue of riverfront development. And even though in some of the chapters, the social issues really have been highlighted, rather than the technical and issues of riverfront development in this context. Yeah, in Chennai, of course, a lot of things have been addressed on riverfront development. Tarek's chapter talks extensively about that and relates to the land and around the river and what happens in terms of what's called riverfront development. So yes, I mean, most of the chapters do address that. So Pushpa, read the book.
No,
All right.
That's
why I said very difficult to ask without reading.
Yeah, but it's nice. It's nice to see you, Pushpa.
It's an
Good to see you too,
encouragement to
Marcia.
you to.
Very nice.
Wow, that was a wonderful discussion flowing just like water. Thank you so much, Banashri and Marche, for wonderfully organizing the whole session and also managing to invite the co-authors in the book and then taking them along in the conversation. Thank you all of you, Rabia, Bhuvna, Tarek, and Sunita, for taking out time and coming to this session. Thanks to all the participants of Zoom and YouTube who are present here and making us feel that these conversations are meaningful. We are really proud to share with all of you that we have crossed 400 sessions and we are going strong as we are completely booked until December. So we look forward to having more sessions, but for now, we will take a short break for Diwali. So Diwali greetings to all of you. Make sure not to pollute the air, water and soil and yet have a social ecological conversation flowing. Post Diwali, we will start with Friday Water Arts on October 31st at 5 p.m. IST, and we shall discuss the use of arts in water education, where my colleague from Ahmedabad University's Water Foundation program, Dr. Chirag Patel, will do the honor and share with us how we teach water at Ahmedabad University. We shall continue with our water conversations, as at W4W we strongly believe that water conversations are crucial for water conservation. Do keep checking our website www.w4w.in for more information. For now, goodbye, thanks, and please take care of yourself. And thank you so much again, Marche and Banashri, for putting this session together. See you all soon. Bye-bye.